guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I decided to make an entire video about all of my best thrifting tips, thrifting advice, basically just a guide to thrifting in general, from cleaning the items you get from a thrift store, all my most common questions about thrifting, and just some of my best tips. I've got a little note here. I wrote everything out because I wanted to make sure that this was just like an ultimate guide for you guys that you could come to and reference. So yeah, let's just get started. And first up, I'm going to be answering some of my most common questions I asked on my Instagram, which if you aren't following me, you should head over there and follow me. It'll be linked in the bio. And I'm going to be looking at my phone because I saved all the questions here, and I'll put them up on the screen as well. But first, we've got two questions that I'm kind of going to answer in one. One of the questions is, how do you clean your thrifted items? The next question is, how about bed bugs? Do they hide out in thrift stores? And I, as you'll see on the screen, I scratched out everyone's name and picture because I didn't ask if it was okay that I shared these, so I just wanted to make sure that nobody felt weird. That was my cat. Felt weird about me sharing their questions. So I do get a lot of questions and people giving me their concerns about items from thrift stores. There is a very, very big misconception, and I'm sure that there's truth behind it, some truth anyways, that items from thrift stores are dirty, unclean, will give you bed bugs, you know, all these things. And while that's a really common concern, I've never ever had an issue with it in my, I don't know, 3 years of thrifting and buying and bringing things into my home. But I will suggest cleaning your items. So obviously for clothes, you can wash your items. That's obviously one way to clean them, or get them dry cleaned. Another tip that people don't really realize, if you have a steamer and you really want to be extra cautious, wash your items and then steam them. Steaming actually kills like 98% of germs or something like that. So I always steam my items. That's a great way to get rid of them. You can buy steamers, just little handheld or travel ones, cheap on Amazon. But as for like home goods, obviously you can wash things in a sink with soap and water, really hot water. But for things like baskets and a lot of home decor that's more intricate, that you can't obviously wash in a dishwasher, I suggest using like some Lysol wipes. Obviously baskets and things are intricate and it's hard to get those wet because that will ruin them, but I've found that when I wipe them with Lysol wipes, it doesn't hurt the item, and they're obviously disinfecting wipes, so that gets it really clean. As for clothes, a lot of people, if you find something that you absolutely love, but you see that it has a stain or it has an odd smell or things like that, try to be open-minded. I know that sounds so weird and gross, but I have gotten like stains out of almost everything, and also weird smells come out in a wash too. I know that sounds gross, but it really does. And another item that I really suggest for cleaning, kind of, this is just a sweater shaver by Conair. You can get this on Amazon, I'm sure in stores as well. But if you ever pick up like some leggings that have some pilling, or a sweater that's you know, like coming out a little bit, this is a game changer. It seriously makes your items look brand new. I highly recommend this if you're going to be thrifting a lot. This will just bring everything back to life. Another item in my cleaning kit, this is obviously not my whole thrifted cleaning kit. If you want me to make a whole video on that, I can do that too, but this is just the condensed version. This is the guys, I'm trying to film a video. Gosh, my cats. Okay, this is the Doc Martens Wonder Balsam, and it is amazing for your leather items. So leather purses, leather shoes, obviously Doc Martens. It's just basically like a leather conditioner. It cleans them and really gives them that like shine back, and I love this. This is essential as well. Again, very affordable. You can get it on Amazon, or I think at a lot of shoe stores you can get it as well. Obviously, this is kind of a no-brainer, but lint rollers. They help so much. Lint roll after washing, and it's just that extra cleaning. And then lastly are just these wet wipes, moist wipes. You can get these. The reason why I put these in as well as the Lysol wipes is because you can get these at the dollar store, and these are great for getting out stains. So sometimes I use these before washing. I'll just wipe it off. Or like, for example, I thrifted an Adidas canvas backpack. It couldn't be washed. So I used these, and it got out tons and tons of the stains. So highly recommend these as well, and they're super affordable. With my experience, I've been able to clean almost everything I've ever thrifted. From furniture, you know, you can vacuum things. You can wash a lot of cushions and things like that. Rugs, you can get them professionally cleaned. I've never thrifted a rug. Actually, yes, I have, and I did get it professionally cleaned. It's really not that expensive. And yeah, so don't be intimidated by the cleaning factor, because it really isn't that hard to clean your items and get them back to new. Not that expensive. And yeah, so don't be intimidated by the cleaning factor, because it really isn't that hard to clean your items and get them back to new. Okay, moving on. I will briefly go through these questions, and then I will give you some of my best tips. So one of the questions is, what are the best stores to do thrift shopping? So obviously almost every place has a Goodwill, and while those are great because they have a ton of volume, they've got a lot of items, my personal favorite thrift stores are the mom and pop thrift stores. So the more smaller ones, maybe the charity thrift stores, and those are great because you're giving back in some way as well. But those to me usually have the gems, because they don't get as many items, but they're also not as frequented as Goodwill. So for me, I think the best thrift stores to shop at are the ones that are less known. And obviously you can find those thrift stores by just searching on Google, no matter where you're at, thrift stores near me. And then you can kind of map out where you want to go, save yourself some time, and that's how you find some of the best ones. The next question, how can you tell items are vintage? So I touched on this in one of my most recent videos. I think it was my plant shopping and thrifting with a haul at the end. So there's a couple ways that you can tell items are vintage. Number one, just by the look of them, you can kind of tell, like, they'll have like a retro look. And I know that's hard to distinguish because a lot of brands and things now are redoing like pieces with vintage inspiration. So the next tip would be to look at the tags. The tags are going to be very clearly old. If they are screen printed on the shirt, as in there's no like paper tag to lift up, then they are newer, I should say. If they do have a flip up tag, it's more chances of being vintage, but also look at the tag. The tag will look really old. Here, I will go get an example. Actually, here's an example of the tag that I'm talking about. It's going to look very old. This one is a, here we go, Fruit of the Looms. Okay, focus. This one is a Fruit of the Looms, obviously very, very retro looking. A lot of times the tags will be worn off. And then another way to tell an item is vintage is the thickness of an item. Sometimes vintage pieces are very thin. You can tell that this one is very thin. So that is one way. And then you should check out my other video. There's one more way. It is by the seam in the shirt. You can tell whether it has 2 stitchings or 1. And if you want further explanation on that and an example, you can go watch that video. And then let me think. Sometimes, not all the time, on vintage shirts, like this is a vintage shirt, like down in the corner underneath the writing, there will be in small print a date, and then obviously you can tell it's vintage by the date. Also, a little PSA, if you didn't know, vintage is from 2000 or later, or earlier, I should say. So anything that's 2000 to 2020 is not vintage. Hope that answered some questions. Next is, how do you not get attached to the things you buy and then not sell them? So if you didn't know, I thrift for myself because I love thrifting, but I also thrift to resell. So when I'm thrifting to resell, my #1 rule of thumb, and I've pretty much stuck to this, is don't try on your merchandise. Because a lot of times you will try it on, you'll love it. Obviously, it's a good piece if you picked it up. And then you will want to keep it. So I don't try things on because I know I can convince myself that I need it and I need to keep it. That's one way. Another way is I like making money. So just for the pure reason that I know I can get X amount of dollars out of it, and I only paid, you know, under $10 for it, I'm like, okay, why would I keep this when I can make some money off of it? Okay, next question. Do you go to a ton of stores to find good stuff, or are you able to find stuff at a few key places? This is a really good question. That's one thing I really want to address. I know it's easy to see all these videos, thrifting, thrift hauls, or just like my photos on Instagram, thinking that I find so much all the time. And I do, because I go a lot. But the thing is it's going to be rare that you're going to go into a thrift store and get a giant heaping cart full of stuff. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, you're gonna have those occasional days that it will, but it's not an all the time thing. So what I do is I go a couple times a week, but I switch around and go to different thrift stores. You just never know. There's no rhyme or reason, really. You never know what is gonna be donated, what is gonna be put out on the floor. So for me, I go to a bunch of different ones, and I love trying out new thrift stores. And then obviously, you know, I have my favorites that I have found really good stuff at in the past. So then I will go to those again because I know I found really good stuff last time. Okay, last question, then I'm gonna get into some of my thrifting tips. How do you know what is trending? Oh, this is good. So, I am really big into, I love fashion, I love different styles. I've always been into clothes. Not everyone is like that. So I personally just naturally keep up with the trends. But if you don't and you want to know what to thrift that is trendy, one easy way, I know it sounds really simple, is go on Instagram, like on your Explorer page, and just scroll through looking at the different outfits that people are styling and wearing. A lot of bloggers and influencers keep up with the trends and they'll post about them, post outfits in them. Another way is to, although I don't really encourage shopping at Forever 21 that much, obviously it's a lot different than thrifting, but looking at Forever 21's website, they usually copy a lot of brands and they have a lot of trendy pieces. And then also looking on Pinterest, just typing in winter 2020 fashion trends, and they will have a lot of that too. So that's one way to keep up with it. But yeah, also keep in mind, you don't have to go with the trends, just go with what you like. That's what's so great about thrift stores. That's where all the trends go to die, so you can find whatever trend you like and rock it. Okay, moving on to the tips section of this video. This is just a compilation of all my best tips that I can think of. First, I want to get into one question that people ask me, or they mention like, oh, I don't have the patience to go through the thrift store. I don't have that much time to go through a thrift store. Yeah, just something like that. And my answer to that one tip would be, pick your favorite sections. So if you're like really looking for sweatshirts, just look through the sweatshirts. Don't overwhelm yourself, especially starting out. Just go through the sweatshirts. I suggest going through the men's and women's. Thrift stores don't always know whether a product is men's or women's, so sometimes they get mixed up in between. And then one huge tip I have is look in the little boys section as well, even the little girls section in the largest size. So that would be the XL size. A lot of thrift stores have it categorized by size. And the reason I suggest this tip again is because thrift stores don't always know whether an item is women's, men's, kids, and they will put things there a lot. I've found a lot of really great things in the kids section. And that is really easy to look through. It's quick because the kids section, especially the size extra large, is never very big. So it doesn't hurt to breeze through that. Also, if you don't have a lot of time, I suggest looking through the shoes and the accessories. Those are always really quick to look through. And if you're into home decor, I would look through the home goods because again, there's never a ton of that. So that's really easy to breeze through as well. And then my last tip, when you don't have a lot of time, I suggest looking through the shirts or, you know, pants, whatever you are looking for. May it be, for example, like a white shirt. I suggest just going through, picking out the white shirt, looking, seeing if you like it, go to the next white shirt, blah, 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 you know, all the way through all the white shirts until you find something that you're looking for. And that's helped me save a lot of time. If I'm just looking like for some basics, I'll just go through, pick out all the black and white shirts. And then I don't look at anything else, and that saves me tons of time. Okay, tip number 2. This is denim. So I post a lot on my Instagram about my thrifted vintage Levi jeans. Right now, the vintage Levi mom jeans are huge. Levi's been remaking them in like the wedgie fit, and they sell for like, I don't know, like $89 or something, and there's no way your girl is paying that. So my biggest tip when looking for the perfect vintage Levi's is to look in the men's section. You heard me right. Look in the men's section if you're a female. Yes, I know it sounds weird. And that is because the way that they make Levi's jeans, well, really all jeans, is they make it with some extra space, and I demonstrate this in the video I'll put in, some extra space in the crotch for men's area, obviously. And so then when a woman puts on those jeans, that extra area just makes them go higher and makes them have the perfect high-rise fit. There's no bagginess there or anything like that. It just gives you more of that high-rise fit. So that's my biggest tip, and I don't share that a lot, so I feel lucky that I'm sharing that with you guys because it's a little secret I have. Because a lot of women's, I don't think I've ever bought Levi's from the women's section just because they never fit right, but the men's jeans have the perfect fit. Another tip with jeans, this doesn't have to be vintage Levi's jeans, it can be any. It sounds weird, but it is wrapping the denim waistband around your neck. If it fits perfectly, then it is going to fit your waist perfectly. If it doesn't meet, it's going to be too small, and if it overlaps, it's going to be too big. I know that sounds weird, but it works. Trust me. When you're in the thrift store, if you don't want to try on, wrap them around your neck and they will 9 times out of 10 fit. Tip number 3. I highly suggest looking near the dressing room. There's usually racks near the dressing room where people can put back what they don't want, or sometimes people leave things in the dressing room. I highly suggest looking through those every time you're in the thrift store. And that is because a lot of people have done the hard work for you. They will pick out the cute things, they'll pick out the nice brands, and then try them on, they don't fit, and then they put them back. So then you can find them. I have found absolute gold in those places. So that is a huge tip. Always, even if you don't have a lot of time, check those areas. Another area that you should check all the time, no matter how much time you have, is new racks. So if you're at a store, a lot of times they will bring out new racks and an employee will work on putting those away. If you see them bringing out a new rack, run to it and search it, because you never know what is in there. It's obviously not been picked through at all, and so you have the first chance to look at all the new donations. And again, this is where I've found a lot of gold before. Okay. And tip number 4, this is my last tip, and I think it kind of covers the entire section of everything that I've talked about, and that is try to really push yourself to see the potential in items. A lot of people have told me through my sharing on social media throughout the years, like, oh my gosh, our Goodwills don't have that, you find such great stuff, yada yada. Well, yeah, some of it is really great finds. Some of it I just saw the potential in and I cleaned up, or I cut some pieces off of it, or I, you know, painted it, or whatever. I thrift flipped it a little bit. Now this tip isn't just for people who are advanced in DIY, because I'm not. This can be for anybody. It doesn't have to be complex, but just push yourself to really see the potential in an item. Don't just pass it by because, oh yeah, it's an old junky basket, because you never know if cutting the handles off that basket can give it a new modern shape. For example, this bracelet, it's just this adorable gold chain bracelet. I showed this in my thrifted jewelry video. This, when I found it, had these big ugly white charms coming off of it, and I think that's why it got passed up, because it was just really out of style. But I knew that I could just cut those charms off and then I'd have this gorgeous simple gold chunky bracelet. Another example of that would be cutting the hem off of jeans. Sometimes they're too long, or just not the right cut, or out of style. Cutting the hem off of jeans, giving them a raw hem, is super on trend right now. Good way to modernize things. And really, the options are endless. You can make anything look new and modern. And on my channel pretty soon, I'm going to be doing a thrift flip, and I'm going to be showing you how I update some older pieces. It'll be some home decor in there as well as clothing, so be sure to look out for that. And this is kind of it for my ultimate thrifting guide. I'm sure I've got more tips in my brain that I'll be sharing throughout other videos, but that's it for now. I hope that this video was helpful. I know that going thrifting can be really intimidating, but if you just push yourself, give yourself a chance to really find those great finds, I know you will find everything that you're looking for. Be sure to follow my Instagram to see more of me styling some of my thrifted pieces and those pieces in my home as well. And please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you like this video, and also let me know if you want a full cleaning tutorial. Thanks guys, see you later.